This is Glenn and Lance with Ring Chronicles.
Today we're talking about the bootleg bloodline.
Let's see who made this segment the most memorable.
There's so much to be said about SmackDown on Friday.
Right.
Yeah,
June
28th, 2024, SmackDown. There's quite a few things I'd like to discuss about this. Solo Sikoa's performance as leader of the Bloodline, Paul Heyman taking bumps, and is this setting up for a return of Roman Reigns as a face and maybe The Rock as well? I also want to talk about the bootleg bloodline. Let's start with that before we get on to Solo. Tama Tonga and Tongaloa, they just got thrown into this, and they're not that good. You had this great star power with the Bloodline, with Roman Reigns, probably the most legendary wrestler of our current age. You had the Usos, arguably maybe the only folks that can contest this would be the New Day as the most legendary tag team of our age. You had Sami Zayn at one point in there, and you had Solo Sikoa as the enforcer. So now you've got the Tongans as the tag team. They have no charisma like the Usos. They suck. That's our new tag team in this bootleg bloodline. Okay, Jacob Fatu is pretty good, but he hasn't had time to really establish himself. So you got three guys that the fans barely know who they are, and you've got Solo Sikoa leading it. Now, I will say this. Solo Sikoa is doing better than I thought he would.
Yeah, me too. I'll agree with that.
His promos have been good.
Yes, I agree.
His character work has been good.
Yeah, Solo's not my problem with this, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems to be doing pretty good. He surprised me with his promos.
But I also don't think he's world championship material either yet.
Okay, that's fair enough.
For him to be a leader of the biggest faction in the business, I question that. I just don't know if Solo's ready to be in that position. He has done better than I've expected. Is he main event material? I don't know. To me, he's kind of average. Average, but in a good way. I mean, if you're average in the WWE, you're still on top of the world. But that doesn't mean that you're going to wrestle in the main event of WrestleMania or win the Royal Rumble or any of that kind of stuff. So there was this thing that happened on Friday Night SmackDown involving Paul Heyman. And so everybody in this bootleg bloodline is acknowledging Solo Sikoa
as the new tribal chief.
As the new tribal chief. He tries to get Paul Heyman to acknowledge him as the tribal chief. Paul does like the greatest facial expressions I've seen in ages. His eyes are bloodshot. He's like literally crying in front of like everybody. Okay. And then they beat him up. You see Paul Heyman taking bumps, which is extremely rare for Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman does not take bumps. It's probably in his contract. I do not take bumps. Okay. It always bothers me when you have a manager that won't take bumps because managers are supposed to get hit. And so that's something about Paul Heyman that's always bothered me. But he rectified this. Now they were gentle with, up until the table spot.
Yeah.
They were gentle with him. I think it was Jacob that was going on the top rope. I don't remember who it was, but I think it was Jacob that was going on the top rope to do a flying headbutt. I thought they were going to do a splash, and I'm like, my God, they're going to kill this man, But they did a headbutt. They were real. It was gentle, and then they did a table spot where they powerbomb him through the table, and you see Paul Heyman's face. Now this is the thing that I don't think he was selling. His facial expression was, oh crap, I'm going to die. That was his facial expression. And I don't think he was selling that. I think Paul Heyman was like seriously worried about his safety, even though he was in good hands. Now, of course, they sold the heck out of this. Had him on the stretcher. You can look it up on YouTube. He went to the hospital. Now, I will say this. My dad is Solo Sikoa's number one Heat person. Okay?
His number one anti-fan?
Yeah. My dad hates Solo Sikoa. Okay. So my dad's getting into this stuff. So I showed my dad the clip, and my dad says, he starts complaining. He says, why do they let people do stuff like that? And shouldn't they do something about him? And he's always doing things like that. My dad's just getting into it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I just let him be. You know what I mean? My dad's got heat on this guy. He gave me a fan's impression of a gut reaction to what Solo Sikoa is doing. So I think Solo Sikoa is mediocre. My dad thinks he's like one of the worst heels in the business right now. My dad hates this guy,
By worst, you mean best.
Yeah. And he talked about how Paul Heyman was defenseless. It was just amazing because Paul Heyman, just a week ago, was one of the most hated managers in the business. And then suddenly, this attack on Paul Heyman, in my dad's impression, just flipped automatically. It was an automatic face turn for Paul Heyman. And my dad had sympathy for Paul Heyman.
So I'm assuming he hated Paul Heyman pretty bad before this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because of everything that Roman did and the bloodline and everything else, you know. And you hear the fans, they hate this stuff. But it's good heat, in my opinion. It's good heat. The fans are chanting for Roman. It's setting up for a Roman Reigns return, face turn.
Yep.
And possibly for The Rock, too, to be face.
Possibly.
Although it would be very interesting if The Rock came back and joined the bootleg bloodline and went against Roman Reigns. Like, let's say Roman Reigns comes back, has a feud with Solo, and then The Rock comes back and has a feud with Roman Reigns.
If Roman comes back as a face, wouldn't you think at least Jey Uso joins him again?
Possibly, or they may just remain on separate brands. Well, here's the thing. Paul Heyman's character work on Friday heavily indicated that Roman Reigns would be super upset with what was happening.
Right.
Because Paul Heyman was there basically representing his client,
right,
Roman Reigns, and refused to betray him. By extension, that builds fan support for Roman Reigns.
Yeah, and last week, I believe it was last week, Solo told Paul Heyman that Roman's not coming back. He said that to Paul Heyman. So to me, that kind of set in stone that pretty much cut ties with Roman for Solo. I don't see Roman joining the bootleg bloodline when he comes back.
Also, by saying that he's not coming back, that says that he's coming
back. Right. It's like, well, now he's definitely coming back.
Yeah, now he's definitely coming back. If you were worried, he is coming back.
Yeah.
I don't even think the bootleg bloodline, like I said, gives it justice. It should be called the what's the name of that Walmart brand?
Great Value.
Yes, the Great Value bloodline. It's just not that good. Maybe the Tongans will get better. I don't know.